Hello? You are the heretic Ramza, yes? What have you done with Alma? If you want your sister back, you will come to Riovan's castle. And you will bring the Scriptures of Germonique with you. What importance is the book? Surely you have read the Scriptures. No, I haven't. I haven't read them yet. I assume they contain something of importance? A blithe response. There are many who would kill you for that book, and yet you do not even know what it is you carry. Well, we have an understanding then. Are you able to read the book? Marquis Elmdor slain. The Marquis Elmdor de Limberry, dubbed the Silver Prince by his friends, Silver Demon by his foes, was slain by a stray arrow in Battle of the Fuse Plains. Despite his noble title, he was a popular figure amongst the common people and a devout member of the Church of Labados. A steady stream of mourners pay respect at his grave. He was a steadfast general of Duke Altana's, and it seems a certainty that his death will affect the war. Shit. Wait a minute, if that's true, why have his age still? Every single person who died doesn't have the age on them anymore. Like Elder Simon didn't have that. You can actually read the Scriptures. Okay, yeah, let's take a look through this. The Scriptures of Germonique, a historical account of Saint Jorah's life recorded by his disciple Germonique. Its very existence has long been denied. I opened the Scriptures of Germonique, entrusted to me by Elder Simon, and began to leaf through the pages. The words before my eyes were writ in a holy script of the ancients. Several illustrations were scattered throughout, but many pages were either missing or damaged, and the script was exceedingly difficult to decipher. I was deeply curious as to what knowledge lay within. As I was turning, faintly penned letters in modern Evolutian script occasionally caught my eye. Notes of an explanatory nature had been added here and there throughout the book. I wondered who might have written them. Judging by the faded ink, some entries were more than a decade old, while others seemed to have been penned only in the last few days. Has this thing been... Excuse me? Written? This thing must have been, messed with a ton. As I touched my finger to one of them, the writing smeared. The ink had yet to fully dry. Well, I mean, there is those moments where a book will hold a flower and the flower would still be alive because of how much little space there is for it. When the flowers crumble in it, though, every note was written by the same hand, Elder Simon's. I suddenly realized he must have devoted a significant portion of his life to deciphering these scriptures, line by painstaking line. Okay, that makes more sense. He must have been at it a while. I relied heavily on his fragmentary notes as I continued reading. Apparently, the Holy Script had been recorded by Germonique, a disciple of Saint Jorah. Germonique. That name struck a familiar chord. Half-forgotten history lessons rose unbidden in my mind. And then I remembered. Germonique was a disciple who had betrayed his master, turning him over to the Holy Jordan Empire. I was astounded that a librum penned by the same Germonique from my history lessons now rested in my very hand. I could hardly contain myself as I turned the pages, and then I was assaulted by a shock far greater than the realization that I held a priceless historical artifact. Originally, I had thought the book to be no more than a collection of Saint Jorah's teachings, as recorded by Germonique. How unprepared I was to learn what it truly contained. This tome served as an account to Saint Jorah's life. The Saint Jorah described within was of a considerably different nature than the man about whom we have all been taught. I had always known that Saint Jorah was no ordinary mortal. My faith in the Church of Glabados was not as profoundly complete as those of my lord brother Zalbag, yet I did believe that Saint Jorah was a child of the gods, descended from the heavens to deliver humanity from its self-inflicted chaos. Or should I say, I had believed. Oh, no. He's beginning to have no faith in God anymore. Or Ajora, whoever you believe. All I had thought immutable was shattered upon reading the scriptures. Saint Ajora's birth came in the midst of a golden age of technology, when airships yet plied the skies. When airships were still around. He was born in Lasalia, in the city of Bervenia. Moments after his birth, he rose to his feet and approached a well. Upon reaching its base, words of prophecy poured forth from his infant lips. A calamity shall soon befall this well. Seal it up at once, that none may drink of it. Some days later, the Black Death visited the town of Bervenia, and all those who drank the well's tainted water succumbed to the plague and perished. Holy shit. Only those families who heeded the prophetic words of Saint Ajora were spared from the death and malady. After the incident with the well, the people came to revere Saint Ajora as a portent of miracle and a child of the gods. But it was not until he reached the age of 20 that Saint Ajora would become the savior of Ivalice and take his place amongst the gods in paradise. Ivalice was not always united as it is today. Long ago, the realms were divided into 7 kingdoms: Fulvaham, Lionel, Limbury, Lasalia, Gallione, Zeltinia, and Melond. Each warred with the other in a never-ending struggle to expand its own territory. This conflict had continued for centuries until an ambitious young king rose to power in Melond. This young monarch dreamt of uniting all of Ivalice under his hand, but the road to victory was a difficult and dangerous one. The king turned to ancient tomes and the dark magics found within, summoning a demon from the netherworld to do his bidding. But once unleashed, the demon slew the king and set out to destroy the very world itself. To combat this monstrosity, a great hero set out on a quest. Together with his 12 disciples, he collected the zodiac stones that had been scattered throughout the world, and the zodiac braves were born again. The Zodiac Braves soon defeated the creature's minions and banished the demon back to its infernal plane, for this becoming known as the savior of the worlds. The story is now a well-known legend of the Zodiac Braves. They have since appeared whenever the world balanced on the brink of catastrophe, only to vanish just as quickly once the crisis had been averted. Similar catastrophe threatened the world in the time of Saint Ajora. The king of Limbury summoned a demon in hopes of seizing control of all of Ivalice and once again plunged the world into chaos. And just as the legend, Saint Ajora collected the 12 zodiac stones, and once again the Zodiac Braves rose to defeat the marauding demon. However, the sovereigns of any age have small tolerance for the interference of well-meaning heroes. Fearing the charismatic saint's growing influence, the Holy Doran Empire dispatched soldiers to capture him and his devoted followers. Pharism was the prevalent religion in that day, and its priests feared Ajora's growing influence. Of course, a Jesus Christ allegory. Ultimately, Germonique, the 13th disciple, was tempted by sordid coin offering vital information that led to his master's capture. Ah, so Germonique is Judas. Got it. The saint was executed upon the gallows of Golgotha soon afterwards. But lest we forget, Saint Ajora was a child of the gods. The wrath of the heavens was swift and terrible. Immediately following the execution, Melond, the center of Ferris teachings, was visited by a terrible cataclysm and sank into the sea. Holy shit! Saint Ajora had then ascended to paradise to take his rightful place amongst the gods. This was the legend with which I was familiar with, the same tale told to every child of Ivalice. But the Saint Ajora described within the Scriptures of Germonique was a different man altogether. Ajora was no child of the gods. He was a mere mortal, no more divine than you or I. He was a revolutionary who fought to realize his own ambitions. He was no lover of the peace, no hero who would sacrifice himself for the good of humanity. Germonique wrote of him: as the founder of a new religion with a rising number of followers, Ajora was seen as no more than a nuisance to the empire. But Ajora was apparently more than just a religious founder. He was a saboteur who infiltrated enemy states to collect information and sow disorder. Ajora was a spy dispatched to the Holy Doran Empire by a rival state. Whatever he claimed to be, it was fact that the Empire began to fear this upstart's growing influence. Germonique was employed to collect evidence that would allow the Empire to arrest Zajora as a spy. The 13th Disciple was in reality no more than the Empire's instrument to play to uncover Ajora's true intentions. It seems that Ajora indeed attempted to reassemble the Zodiac Braves. Germonique confirmed in his writings that Ajora even discovered some of the stones. But what was his purpose in seeking them? I do not know if the young king of Limberry actually summoned a demon. At the very least, I have failed to encounter even a single line within the scriptures that records the event. Yet catastrophe did indeed befall Mulund at the time of Ajora's death. According to the scriptures, the bulk of the city sank into the sea. The footnotes provided further enlightenment. They expressed a different view, no doubt the personal opinion of Elder Simon. Although many spoke of their existence, none had ever set eyes upon these scriptures of Germonique. Some might say they are fraudulent, written by the sole purpose of discrediting Saint Ajora. But I know this tome to be authentic. When I served as an inquisitor for the church, many others in the Holy Office feared the existence of this work. And the same is no doubt true for the High Confessor. They were all fearful of these writings, for everything contained within them is fact. After Saint Ajora's death, the Church, which had capitalized on his considerable influence to seize power for itself, had only one task: to conceal his true nature as a human being. This one fact had to be erased from the annals of history. They needed to ensure that Saint Ajora be remembered as a child of the gods. Their use of the Zodiac Braves, a legend believed throughout Ivalice, was a stroke of genius. It was a simple feat to convince the people that Saint Ajora had led the Zodiac Braves to defeat a demon that never existed. I realize now that I had lost my faith the moment I began to read these scriptures, and yet I feel no sorrow. Thinking back, I now know that my desire to know the truth was stronger than my faith had ever been. But I had committed one great sin. I failed to condemn the church for lying to our flock all these years. And why? I knew that if I were to share this book with the world, my precious library would be taken from me. And to me, there could be no pain greater, for this library is the only means of slaking my endless thirst for knowledge. My curiosity eclipsed my will to do what was right. Elder Simon wrote that Saint Ajora's demon never existed, but I have seen the dark power of the Zodiac Braves with my own eyes. There is an evil presence at work, something much more sinister than even the High Confessor and his twisted plots. So, to put it into perspective, and to use an example from Christianity as an example, of this, it's not to discredit anything in the religion. Whatever you believe in is what you believe in, but apparently Jesus was not the savior for the world. Jesus was a revolutionary. Dude, take this seriously. Who says I'm not? Yeah, no. This is Jesus is not the savior in this story. If the scriptures of Germonique are true about Saint Ajora, this is not good. And this was in the time when airships were around. Weren't there other Final Fantasy games that had those? Okay. So apparently there are 3 distinct ages within Ivalice. The first modernity, post-cataclysm, and the second modernity. So, with the airships, prior to this game, you have Final Fantasy XII, Final Fantasy XII Revenant Wings, and Final Fantasy Tactics A2. Grimoire of the Rift? I have not played that game, but I believe there is a character in this game from that's going to be in now. Post-Cataclysm is this game, Final Fantasy Tactics, War of the Lions, and Vagrant Story. So those 2 games are in the same timeline. And then Second Modernity is the first Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, where... And I'll eventually get to playing that too, but that's more of the, hey, you have a modern day environment and you are sucked into a book that lets a history book in your And that leads to post-cataclysm. No, that leads to the first modernity. My bad, because there are still the other races out there for Ivalice. It's not just the humans. That's actually kind of messed up. I got freaking lore dumped. We got freaking lore dumped on this one.